We know that the film is full of various interesting elements, from funny details to serious references to the fourth generation. And not just the fourth. I won't dwell on all these references, you can find relevant videos and articles separately on the web. I want to discuss only those points that can supplement our understanding of what is happening in the film and build the theory I want to talk about. I must say that after the movie my emotions were like this. All because I couldn't understand, there were so many thoughtful elements in the film, so many perfectly calibrated jokes, and how could it end so simply? It even seemed silly. Sunny, who says it wasn't the stones that needed to unite, but the pony nations, after that the stones were eventually obligated to unite in order to get the magic back. They just had to wait for Sunny to give a speech. I wasn't ready to believe that the ending was just drained down to a quick finish like that. And maybe it really isn't that simple, or I'm trading in my tinfoil hat for my clown outfit. I decided to rewatch the movie to take a closer look at the details and all the Easter eggs. And then again and again, eventually I came up with an interesting thought. It's funny and awkward that in the first attempt to connect the stones, Izzy is holding the unicorn stone and Sunny is holding the Pegasus stone. She's not a Pegasus, not symbolic somehow. Wait, what? Well, the unicorn, the earth pony and the Pegasus come together during the final stone joining. Maybe there's something to that, you know, defeating the Wendigo? Maybe somehow the remnants of their inner magic activate the stones and... Oh, you take different stones, forget it. Wait. Inner magic? Let's focus here. Do you remember when the official fun facts about the characters came out shortly before the movie was released? Do you remember this one? I saw a lot of people's reactions to it, ranging from what now I read that to theories that this spark, luminescence, that Izzy could see would be a key factor in the movie. It seemed logical, since at that point promo footage had already surfaced showing Sunny as a magical alicorn. Exactly. Magical. This whole glow around her sounded like something that was talked about in the promo with Izzy. However, it ended up being a couple of jokes and the information that the happier you are, the more that sparkle shines. Back to the ending of the movie. A bright light illuminates the room in the lighthouse and the beam hitting the stone begins to reflect and distort in bizarre ways. And this orb in an unusual device like a lighthouse lens begins to spread it out. Pretty beautiful, huh? We'll come back to this device later. And then I thought, hey, it's like it's activated, maybe when the three stones are together and the sunlight somehow illuminates them, maybe the light will reflect from the three of them into this device. Nope. Nothing worked, they just fall down. I realize that's not what this is about, but my god, how epically this moment is staged. I wish there was enough time for the really dramatic and atmospheric moments, their beauty wants to expand. I start running my eyes around in panic and trying to find an explanation. Where is the device? Ah, there it is. Maybe some sort of inscription? Something on a picture frame? Why did you trigger it now? What was the trigger?
And the happier you are, the brighter it shines.
Luminescence. Spark. That silly but charming gesture with the picture frame was a symbol of reconciliation, and Sunny's speech and the cohesiveness of their team, all the events that were there, made their sparks shine and the stones were probably receptive to that light. Perhaps this spark is like a stronghold of the remaining basic magic, like cutie marks. Perhaps these sparks are different in Pegasi, unicorns, and earth ponies, like different waves and such. That's why you needed 3 kinds of ponies to make the stones work, and they have to be happy. Maybe Pip, Sunny and Izzy could have activated the stones themselves if they hadn't been separated in the process by the will of the script, but they still needed to make their sparks shine brightly, and that was difficult in such a panic. Still, let's elaborate on the notion of sparks. We have seen this kind of thing in the 4th generation more than once. The first manifestation of the spark might have seemed like a sentimental moment or an animator's game to make us understand Twilight's realization of her true power. In the 3rd Equestria Girls movie, We see how Twilight, under pressure and bad influences, also grabs the spark. Now we understand this parallel and see that here the spark depends specifically on magic. Can we say that Sunset had her own spark at this point too? In any case, look. You see these sparks as Izzy does too. They are passive, but apparently depend on something inside the body, if I may say so. Sort of like how our emotions are a result of the release of different hormones in different situations. I think the magical system of the body can interact with the rest of the systems in the same way, and they are dependent on each other. In fact, this theme has been around since the second Equestria Girls movie. That scene reflects a familiar problem, right? Is perfectly displayed in the third movie, and runs through some of the specials, and is not the only contribution of the entire Equestria Girls series to the MLP lore. However, at the time it seemed to be an issue of the interaction between the human world and the magic of Equestria, whereas in this movie we literally see the same Equestria Girls. In plan, everything that went on logically fits in with everything we already know about the magic and lore of MLP film. We were told about the sparks. Those sparks are probably at the core of how the cutie marks work, which is the nature of the ponies. And perhaps the scene of activating the restoration of the elements of harmony is no different than the scene of activating the stones. Perhaps it is embedded in defeating the Wendigo. It looks very logical exactly against the backdrop of everything we already know, but the most valuable thing is the contribution to the original lore. We've hardly thought about these scenes, rainbow artifacts and the like, as something that is at the core of the pony's existence. Their species is basically predisposed to interact with the world in this way, and it's about as normal as electricity and magnetism are to us. And if everything I just told you really happened the way it did, then it's safe to say that the new generation is not just following the paved path, but revealing its details to us from a whole new angle, giving space for new events on that basis. It makes sense for any other races to cooperate with or fear the ponies, because the ponies are actually quite powerful races that can interact with nature, since nature itself seems to have something similar and can literally grow magic. Well, that even sounds like the truth. Let's get back to the movie, because that's not all. The magic is back and for some reason the stones decide that Sunny is in charge. Wait a minute. I wonder why I haven't stumbled across this obvious connection until now. I've been saying it since the movie came out, but I haven't seen anyone else notice it. Everyone else in the trailer noticed Argyle's mane. Many noticed the pink strand. Immediately something along the lines of, "Son of Twilight, look." I never liked that theory. Too many years have passed in this world. And it was clear from the trailer that the father was no longer in the movie, and apparently he didn't have much time to give reasonably any information about himself. At first I thought his mane was a little gray, like it was fading already. What do you say to that? Argyle was clearly either experiencing the same effect as Sunny, or was close to it. I realize that maybe the footage doesn't show it very well, but Emalu and others recently shared the most beautiful official concept art that shows it even better. In fact, they're trying very hard to tell us that these three colors are very important. All of Argyle's talent is apparently dedicated to this. They even explain to us, apparently, the meaning of these three colors, but more on that later. This all makes Argyle an even more interesting character, and the alicornization of Sunny an even more complicated phenomenon. I wonder how that came out in the first place. The idea that the stones brought the magic back and made Sunny an alicorn seems convenient, but they've already given her an element in her mane that connects us to something more complex. After seeing this on the marker board in the lighthouse, I came up with a theory as to why things happened the way they did. So what is so interesting about this diagram? Just in case, let me tell you how it works. We see circles with letters in them, each can be correlated with each kind of pony. Each circle is a different entity. When the circles intersect, we get something new at the place where they intersect. For example, when the entities blue and yellow intersect, we get green. We could conclude that by combining the three kinds of ponies, we get happiness, harmony, and friendship. Quite. However, from another point of view, by combining the three species we get a new one, the alicorn. Exactly 3 species. It is not enough to combine only a Pegasus and a unicorn, which the movie itself tries to bring out as many arguments as possible. The stones don't work together, the stained glass window says so, the scene after the credits hints at the magic of Earth ponies, and Sunny gets the aforementioned 3 colors in her mane, which apparently signify the 3 species of pony, according to the opening scene. Now let's imagine for a moment that no one attacked Sunny's lighthouse. Let's imagine that a group of such versatile friends got there and already knew that the stones needed to be poked into the apparatus. Recall that in the movie they went off completely outside the machine. The stones are inside the device, connected. I can't claim anything about how the machine works, especially because of this dragon dilemma of mine, which is in and out. But let's assume that all the effects that should happen next to the stones were known beforehand and the machine was built with that knowledge in mind. For example, if only because they are probably artifacts deliberately created by someone with a specific function. The stones give a flash and release the magic within them. One could assume that the machine could be blown away, but then again, let it all have been thought out in advance and the flash will go straight into the lens of the machine, which will conditionally blow the magic away, though the stones themselves can handle it. Let's say the stones hold up well inside the table. We're talking about the magic being received by the lens and spreading out over a larger area. All will become alicorns. That's it, everyone. Everyone will be able to fly and conjure and become as strong and united as ever, in theory. You could say that this is a step not only in magic, but also in the evolution of ponies, inset with a scene from an old movie about transformations with a pearl. So there you go. What if someone, maybe Twilight, had somehow collected magic, concentrating each respectively in 3 artifacts that could be developed specifically for the conditional alicorn project, to make them work with this apparatus to make alicorn evolution possible for everyone. But based on the events at hand, for some reason the stones concentrated on Sunny. One can think of many reasons for this. Such missing magic could have been misunderstood or deliberately demonized at one time. Or perhaps, in the process of this experiment, someone decided to take a chance and attack a project that was never completed. It is unclear then what became of everyone, but apparently Argyle rightly suspected the workings of the memory stone. Perhaps it erased the effects of evil deeds. The stone is still an artifact that could have been created by someone, not just used, hence its destruction makes no sense. If the spell itself is known, make a new one. All this reasoning about the diagram and the not-so-solid theory I bring to mind is that in my opinion Argyle may have understood all this and somehow tried to work towards a device for alicornization. Perhaps his cutie mark doesn't just coincide with the 3 new colors in his mane, but is directly related to his some sort of alicornization experience. I can well imagine why he didn't spread the word about it. At the very least in a town like this, his experiences could have really alarmed everyone and Sunny could have been taken away. He might not have told Sunny because she spread his stories so much that the secret might have been exposed. Far from the fact that it was even slightly so, however, we should not lose sight of the apparent pattern. I just wish I knew Argyle's story. Actually, by the way, the connection to the human world is finally bearing good fruit. It's always amused me that at one time Star Swirl and others used this world as a dumping ground and a prison, without thinking of the consequences. And by the way, in my opinion, technological progress was logical in the pony world. It's just like creating handy spells, putting them in artifacts, and handing them out to everyone so everyone can make their everyday life easier and more pleasant. Oh, and with the connection to the human world, it was quite possible to study their devices and steal a few ideas, because it's just handy and cool. Actually, there's also an important and interesting element. I realize that Argyle and Sunny's talents are connected to the stars, but for some reason we are highlighted quite often that the constellations are important. They've had an important role before, but I can't understand what they're trying to say here. Is it possible to sharpen someone on a star, for example? What about the scene after the credits? I'm not sure either. Are they trying to tell us that the Earth ponies have some special kind of magic? Or are they something necessary to combine the magic of Pegasus and unicorns? I've always had my personal theory, back during the 4th generation, about Earth pony magic, which I liked. Earth ponies, as I understand it, don't have active magic working all the time as part of their body, and therefore they are very sensitive to it, and this is a passive manifestation of it as a reaction to external fluctuations. Can feel it in the air and such. For example, a unicorn has just teleported, and walking past an Earth pony will feel a magical trace at that point. But magic isn't just in ponies. All of nature has its own pretty powerful magic, which is why Granny Smith-Soman's work and Earth ponies are good at farming. They can sense that magic. But these are just my thoughts. I would be glad if people paid more attention to all the details in the cartoon that were created with so much effort. What I can't figure out is this thing. It was designed, placed in its environment, and even got attention. What is that?